Hello, I'm Ed Burt with Beacon Application Services, and I'm here to help guide this video with a demonstration of tests. Today we are going to demonstrate some of the validation and business testing examples accomplished with the Beam test tool. Our first example is a simple validation of the system access, ensuring that a user has access to the area that they should within the system, and that those pages have been rendered properly for them to navigate through the system. So we will play back our user access screen where I am actually logging into the system as myself as an HR manager and user of the HR system. I've come into Workforce Administration, navigated through the various pages and in direction of HR Workforce, ensuring that this person's security and the pages and system has been built properly for them to utilize. As expected, this has come back and everything is valid. It did run as expected. We can take that concept another step further, say, well, let's validate the access of not just one person, but of our employee or employees. So we can expand this to include a data file. And so here we have a data file of sample employees. And what we will do at this point is then run that type of same script, validating the access of these employees using this data file. So from employee self-service access, we will run our test script that now logs into the system using that employee ID from the data file. So we've come in here, we've logged in as this specific employee, gone to the self-service pages, and actually gone through the system to make sure that they have the personal information associated with our specific self-service pages. And as you see here, I've actually built in an error employee just so you could see the handling of an error. So this employee is logged into the system successfully, but is not being rendered the self-service pages to go to their specific benefits and their specific personal options. Okay? So we do have a security or a page error with this person. Okay? In this case, this type of scripting, we don't want the whole script to end. We would like to pursue or continue the testing to go through the entire file so we can identify everybody that's successful and all errors in one script processing. So right here the script is continuing to see is the problem just PeopleSoft responding slow as it's waiting to see if the pages will come that it's expecting. And eventually it will time out and error this transaction and then move on to the rest of the file. All right. In this employee self-service, one of the things you'll notice is when you come through the self-service page, you're bringing up the system for that specific person. In our test results, that's exactly what we're checking. So one of the things we are checking here is, did that page come up for that specific person? So we're not only validating the navigation and the access into the system, we do have the ability to do checkpoints and actually confirm that what was expected or what was specific, in this case for that employee, has come back and is processed through the system. Now while we're here, let me show you a couple specific features of tests that are very helpful, especially in upgrade projects where you are validating the system more than once as you create multiple environments. We can actually record a test in one environment and through our integration to PeopleSoft, quickly make a different environment active, and that is the environment that we can play the test back in. So we can record in one environment, play back in another environment. We also have the ability to run tests in a specific order or group the tests and run in a specific sequence. So in this case, what I've done is I've built here the test sequence, bringing the HR user access test that we saw first, running that first, followed by the employee self-service access. So it's going into that second test script and processing that. What I will do in this data file, because we do know that that is an error, is I will ignore that specific record that we set up in error the first time, so we can process this data file right through. Oops, I didn't do it in time. All right, and rather than waiting for that to get through there, we'll actually end this test. And you'll see our test result here was not just the employee self-service, but it was the two test scripts that we strung together. The other thing that we can do, which is a nice feature that I'll highlight here, is we can actually run a test in a mode to capture documentation. We can play back that test and actually capture what's going on in the PeopleSoft system to generate and support documentation. Now, this is a great tool for us to actually capture the documentation for our testing purposes, so defining exactly what's going on in that test script, but it's also been proven to be very handy for training. So in this case, you see that what we did is we captured sign-on information, and our document actually highlights what's been triggered there. We push the sign-on button, where we're navigating through the pages, okay, go into personnel information, okay, and then update your personnel information. And in that documentation, you can actually highlight additional information. So here's my instructions for employee self-service updates. So you can define additional description here into that documentation and then publish and produce that document straight from our recordings. Now, in our validation and testing that you've seen, let's take this one step further. We get back to our browser. I'm going to sign out. And what we want to do is now move towards more of a event or transactional testing. So in this case, we'll do our employee self-service test where they're actually updating their 401k options. So here's our employee self-service benefits, 401k update. We'll run that test. So again, we're using our employee self-service file. Now logging in as those people. It's going to their specific personnel pages and updating their 401k options. Right, so as you see the system spinning through that ability to actually perform this transaction, and again now doing it for those specific people here. Now, one of the things in this script here that you'll see, let me expand our data file, is over here our 401k amount. This is what we were updating those employee amount options with. So we can put various values in there, so we're getting a broader test. We can also put specific options in there. So in the case of the 401k amount, if someone has waived their 401k options, we want to test that as well. so that W indicates that. So by coordinating your data file with specific options in your script, you can actually accomplish a much broader and deeper test, all managed and directed by the data file. Now let's take this even one step further. So we've done our access testing and validation. It's now headed towards business test validation. Let's take this more towards a business process rather than a single test transaction. So in this case, let's go to open enrollment. So let me log into the system as an HR manager. We want to look at our open enrollment process. So here is the test plan for open enrollment. So in our benefits module, our objective is to prepare and run an open enrollment. The first step in this open enrollment test is to create a group ID. Second step is to assign employees to that specific group ID. So we're adding the employees for those groups. And we add an open enrollment definition, add a schedule, and move towards the actual processing and reporting of open enrollment. Multiple steps in the open enrollment business process. The most difficult, well, not difficult, but the most time-consuming step in this process is adding employees into the specific groups. So that's exactly what we've scripted, is using our data file concepts. We have now taken a data file, open enrollment sample, and we will assign specific employees to specific groups. So here's our open enrollment script. We'll run that test. So we will come in for that employee, head to the open enrollment, add a row. So we are now into their benefits and adding that group ID, assigning that group ID to that employee. And you see we add the rows, 2. And in this quick example, we've got a couple of employees assigned to a couple different group IDs. Again, using the power of the data file, we can make sure we've assigned as many people as we want and make sure we cover all our group IDs. Again, without a lot of manual effort of now keying in 10 employees to get to our 10 group IDs, we can quickly generate a spreadsheet that gives us that broad and deep coverage. And with that, those are the basic concepts, especially the power of the data file that can be applied across your entire PeopleSoft system. So using test, you've accomplished a quicker, broader, deeper test, and ultimately a more successful test of PeopleSoft. Thank you.